Hey everybody, hopefully you had a good Christmas, some good time spent with family, a chance to get a break from the monotony of life. In this video, I want to talk about Cleanspark. We're going to look at the chart. We're also going to look at some recent news from their investor relations. I also want to show you Bitcoin. We're at a critical point here in my opinion. This is our first candle that started under the 50 MA since early August. I do think if we can't close back above it today, we might see more pain from Bitcoin. Last week was definitely rough for the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin also pulled back a bit. But one thing you have to realize is with Bitcoin here, the Bitcoin miners are profitable. The last quarter anyone has to go off of for the Bitcoin miners was Q3, where Bitcoin was anywhere from 49,000 to the 60s. But we'll look at Bitcoin on the chart, and let's look at this Cleanspark news first. Cleanspark has achieved 37.5 exahash in operating hash rate with a fleet efficiency of 17.7 joules per terahash. And they have accelerated their guidance for 50 exahash. This is expected in the first half of 2025. Cleanspark's newest data centers in Tennessee and Wyoming were energized last week. This is part of a multi-stage energization process that will continue into the next quarter. The added hash rate from these sites paired with site expansion and ongoing fleet upgrades has allowed the company to exceed the 2024 year-end guidance and deliver 37.5 exahash of hash rate. Fleet efficiency has reached 17.7 joules per terahash and is expected to continue to improve as the company continues their strategic growth plans. They expect their operating leverage to continue to increase as they proceed with their next phase of growth to 50 exahash, which is fully funded and expected in the first half of 2025. This is going to be achieved through greenfield infrastructure development, organic growth via existing site expansion, strategic mergers and acquisitions, all funded with a portion of the proceeds from their most recent offering. Remember the convertible note offering, guys? That's going to fund this 50 exahash growth. And as said by Zach Bradford, the CEO, our teams have been hard at work throughout the entirety of this past year. We've delivered on our ambitious targets and expanded our hash rate nearly 300% since the beginning of 2024. Achieving 37.5 exahash with a fleet efficiency of 17.7 joules per terahash is a significant milestone. And we intend to continue adding highly efficient hash rate through the end of the year and into 2025. And with the closing of our 650 million zero coupon convertible bond offering, exceeding guidance and delivering on our fleet efficiency goals, December has been one of Cleanspark's strongest, strategic months to date. The capital raise is expected to more than fully fund our expansion to 50 exahash. As a result, we are pleased to announce accelerated expected timing of 50 exahash to the first half of calendar year 2025. This is the result of discipline and focus on our core operating business, Bitcoin mining. Our growth and efficiency have resulted in a Bitcoin treasury balance quickly approaching 10,000 Bitcoin, all of which we have mined. As we look into 2025, we intend to remain focused on Bitcoin and mining efficiency, using operational excellence at scale. Now, as per TradingView, this is one Bitcoin miner that expects a profitable quarter from Q4, from the period ending December, which is October, November, and December. And I'll show you guys where Bitcoin was during that time. I've showed you before, but I think it's a good reassurance to show you that the Bitcoin miners are nothing like they were in Q3. Despite Wall Street's total dragging them through the dirt recently, heavily shorting them, these Bitcoin miners should be seeing profitable quarters moving forwards, in some cases including Q4, as seen here by Cleanspark. They're expecting a 17 cents EPS, positive EPS, 153 million in revenue, which is a record, and that's by a mile. That's a huge record. And it's nearly 50% revenue growth from only a few quarters ago, and about double in revenue when looking year over year. In my opinion, the Bitcoin bull market is going to continue. If you believe Bitcoin is not going to new all-time highs and beyond, then you don't want to invest in the Bitcoin miners. If you believe Bitcoin is going to go up more in 2025, with a good part of 2025 seeing Bitcoin well over $100,000, there's no reason to think the Bitcoin miners won't see some great profitable quarters. Right now the chart is pretty ugly for Cleanspark. It's well under its 50 MA, it's under its 200 MA. They had a death cross a couple months ago. Funny enough, the death cross is when things started kind of going up, but we have been pulling back, as of the last couple month and a half or so. We're approaching an important level to bounce off of, a potential support of 970 area. If we break that, we're heading down to our next couple of levels, this 890 area. It's a possibility we head down there if Wall Street wants to take it there. I think when Wall Street realizes that these Bitcoin miners are going to be profitable again, that is when they're going to close out their short positions. That is when people become more bullish on the Bitcoin miners. Cleanspark's earnings is coming up early February. We don't have a long wait. Now, while the other Bitcoin miners are expecting unprofitable quarters for Q4, or they perhaps haven't revised guidance, in a lot of cases, Bitcoin miners reported back in early November, in late November, in late September even, before Bitcoin really started running. Guidance was given in a lot of cases when Bitcoin was, in the 70,000s, 80,000s, before Bitcoin made it to its recent all-time highs. I do think some of these Bitcoin miners could revise their forward guidance, or we'll see some profitable quarters, surprise profitable quarters like we saw pre-halving, like we saw in late 2023, early 2024, when we saw some surprise profitability. And that's basically where the Bitcoin miners went parabolic. Let me show you. Here's a profitable quarter from Iron. After seeing unprofitable quarters, they saw a profitable quarter, which was expected for Iron, but look what happened. They reported that profitability. What happened to Iron? Wow, it went from like $5 and did about a 200% up to about $15 in only a few weeks time. A week and a half, 2 weeks time. When Cleanspark reported a surprise profitable quarter, this is where we went parabolic. This is where we went from like $4 up to about $13, $14. And again, this only took like 2 weeks on reports of a profitable quarter. What about the next time they reported a profitable quarter? Yeah, we rallied again. So that is one thing I think about the Bitcoin miners, is they're going to be heavily shorted until we see profitable quarters, but we don't have long to wait, in my opinion. Take advantage now. I know it's irritating hearing that, but you know, I don't think we're going to see the prices for these Bitcoin miners like they were back in September, like they were in August in many cases. Cleanspark was $8 back in September. Cleanspark was reporting profitable quarters. Once they got to some consistent profitable quarters, a couple of profitable quarters in a row, Cleanspark had reason to be trading at $20 to $25. There's prospects of more money coming to their balance sheet, of them not burning cash. Once the Bitcoin miners get back to a point where they're putting money into their balance sheet, they're not diluting as much, they're making an actual profit, that is when all hell breaks loose in a good way. Now, I did want to talk about Bitcoin, and we are right now under our 50 MA. This candle, I want to close over the 50 MA. This will be our first candle closing out of the 50 MA if it closes like this, or if it starts pulling back soon. But if we can close over this red line, crisis averted in my opinion. Now, last time we saw a break of the 50 MA was back in August, and we did see kind of a reaction on it. It broke, tried to come back up to it, found it as resistance sort of, and just kind of sold off more. But it basically, once it broke the 50 MA and we had a candle close out of it, it went from about 59,000 down to about 52,000. So maybe we see some more pain if this candle can't close over the 50 MA. You know, maybe it brings us to test our lows down here, like 91,000, 90,000 psychological support. You know, I wouldn't write it off yet. It's definitely a possibility we test 90,000 for Bitcoin. But you know, follow the cycle. We are in a bull market. We might pull back, but we will go higher soon. It's the simplest way I could put it. And here, this yellow line is actually where Q4 began. Look at the Bitcoin miners from, you know, Q3, where they were basically in a downtrend, starting to get to where they were unprofitable. Bitcoin was in the 60,000s, 50,000s, even 49,000 for a brief stint. Under 70,000, pretty much for the whole Q3. Bitcoin was, you know, under 70,000. Most of Q4, Bitcoin was over 70,000. And for a good part of Q4, Bitcoin was around, you know, 90,000s, 100,000 and so. I do want to show you that we're getting some bullish RSI divergence on the hourly. We're seeing the price continue to come down, but the RSI has been coming up from oversold. On the 26th of December, the RSI has been pretty much recovering, higher lows from the RSI, but we're basically seeing lower lows from the price. I do think we're going to get a reversal soon, and hopefully this is the start of it. This gets us over that 50 MA. This starts bringing us back into the 100,000 range, and things get interesting again for Bitcoin. One thing that's kind of funny is we're seeing inflows from the spot Bitcoin ETFs while there is mass panic, while there's a lot of fear. According to the Crypto Rover, the supply shock is happening now. Bitcoin on supply is at like a 7-year low, something like that. So it skips an entire cycle. To tell me that we're not going to have an insanely great 2025 is asinine. Look at total OTC desk balances. I'm sorry that this might not be in the best quality image, but look at this. Bitcoin rallied from 40,000 to 74,000 in Q1 as demand growth caused OTC desks inventories to decline. You see back here, inventories were declining. See how the inventories of OTC desks, they were declining, and this is where the price basically went parabolic. Well, here we are again. See this pink? This is the balance of OTC. It's finally down. It hasn't been down for a good part of this year. Since the beginning of this year when we had our run, ever since then, OTC balances have pretty much been rising, but they are starting to decline again. This is a positive sign. Last time they did this, we did see a rally. But what else? Crypto Quant further reports that the total USD stablecoin market cap, which is a proxy for liquidity in crypto, has reached $200 billion. This 20% growth since only late October highlights increasing capital inflow into the sector. The heightened liquidity aligns with Bitcoin's recent rally, suggesting a direct relationship between stablecoin market trends and Bitcoin price movements. In the end, guys, follow the cycle and you won't go wrong. And also, I want to bring up the 50 MA on the weekly. This is also another important one. We have bounced on it back in September. We, rode up on it back in September of 2023 as well. Bitcoin has now cooled down from being overbought on the RSI on the weekly. And let me show you last cycle the significance of the 50 MA on the weekly, not just the daily, but the weekly as well. It has bounced off this in the past. Last cycle, we saw Bitcoin bounce off the 50 MA on the weekly back in July of 2021, again in September of 2021, and it basically started failing it in the end of December, found it as resistance, continued down. So keep an eye on that 50 MA, not only on the daily, but on the weekly. Keep an eye on all of these Bitcoin topping indicators. I'll pull them up right now because I think they are very important to keep an eye on. All of these here. Screenshot this. Let me zoom it in and get it bigger. Oh, that didn't help. Anyways, I'll zoom this in and you guys take a screenshot. Hold on to these things. You know, maybe Bitcoin sees a good little correction. Maybe we kind of fill out this pattern and head closer to our 50 MA on the weekly, down towards the 70,000s. Maybe by the time we get there, we're in like the mid 70s. The Bitcoin miners will be all right. If Bitcoin briefly comes down to the 70,000s, the Bitcoin miners will be okay. Follow Bitcoin cycle. Bitcoin pulling back one last time, one more dip, one more correction is a buying opportunity. I think if we correct in late 2025, I won't be saying the same. But keep an eye on the Bitcoin topping indicators. Realize that the Bitcoin miners are approaching profitability and it's about to get exciting. And the year isn't over yet. We do have 2 trading days left. I think 2025 is where the real fun starts. We're going to start seeing these Bitcoin miners report profitability again. We saw what happened last time they did this. This is when things got really fun, really interesting. And we're approaching that time again. But anyways, thanks as always for watching, guys. Hopefully you had some good time with your family, valuable time spent, memories made, a little bit of relaxation, a break from the stock market, a break from crypto. But anyways, what do you guys think about Bitcoin? Are we going to hold our 50 MA or do we break from here? Do we start heading lower from here? Is it a last second buying opportunity or is it getting too late in the cycle for you? Thanks as always for watching, guys, and enjoy your weekend.